There is a quiet strength in kindness. It does not roar for attention, nor does it demand applause. It simply exists, soft as a whisper, yet strong enough to reshape hearts. And perhaps you, the one listening now, are among those rare souls who have walked through life extending kindness not because it was easy, but because it was right. You held the door open for those who slammed it behind you. You shared your bread with those who would not give you a crumb. You listened when others only spoke, and in your heart you wondered, does God see this? Do these gentle choices matter in a world that rewards ruthlessness? Let me assure you, they matter more than you know. There is a season in every faithful life where it seems that the fruit of kindness falls into barren soil. You gave love and received silence. You offered peace and were met with conflict. You sowed good deeds, yet the harvest seemed delayed. And during those moments, it was tempting to believe that kindness is weakness, or that gentleness is unnoticed by heaven. But here is the truth. God does not overlook what man forgets. He records every act of mercy, every choice to forgive, every word spoken in love, every tear shed in secret, and every sacrifice made without expectation. And when the time is right, not when the world demands it, but when heaven ordains it, God begins the work of elevation. Right now, in the silence you may feel, in the pause you may resent, something holy is stirring. God is preparing to uplift you, not as the world uplifts, with flattery or fame, but with favor, purpose, and divine compensation. Your kindness, long planted like hidden seeds beneath the soil of hardship, is breaking open beneath His light, and today the very heaven you've trusted is moving in your favor. But here's the beauty of divine uplifting. It is rarely loud. It doesn't always announce itself with trumpets or titles. Sometimes it shows up in sudden peace after years of torment. Sometimes it takes form as strength you didn't know you had, or as doors opening you didn't even knock on. And sometimes it looks like people you once helped returning to thank you, not knowing that they were part of your divine reward. God uplifts in such a way that no man can claim credit for it. That's how you'll know it was Him. When He elevates, it will be clear that it wasn't manipulation, networking, or flattery that brought you up. It was character. It was your commitment to love when you had every reason to harden. It was your decision to stay pure when bitterness would have made more sense. And it was your unshakable belief that good still matters, even in a world addicted to power. So, to the one listening who has been faithful in secret, kind in pain, generous when empty, hear this. Your kindness is not forgotten. God is rewarding you today, not just with what you need, but with what reflects who you are. Now is your time to rise. Heaven keeps record when the world forgets. It's a painful truth that much of the kindness we extend in this world is met with forgetfulness. You give of yourself, hoping to bring light to someone's darkness, and yet they turn and walk away, carrying your light as if it cost them nothing. You offer forgiveness to someone who doesn't deserve it, and they mistake your grace for weakness. You go out of your way to help, to comfort, to give, and the very ones you rescued seem to forget your face the moment their storm ends. But hear this, the world may forget, but heaven does not. God is not like man. He is not impressed by titles, fame, or noise. He sees what is hidden. He watches closely, not just what you do, but why you do it. And every act of love, every decision to take the higher road, every tear you wipe from someone else's eye, it all goes on record. The scriptures tell us God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. Hebrews 6:10, that's not poetic language, that is divine assurance. In the courts of men, your kindness may be overlooked. In the scrolls of heaven, it is engraved. When no one clapped for you, God took note. When you walked away from vengeance, even though you were in the right, He smiled upon you. When you gave and no one said thank you, He whispered to the angels, "That's one of mine." There are rewards that come not in applause, but in divine unfolding. God stores up blessings in silence. He prepares rewards in silence. He allows the world to dismiss your worth so that when He moves, there will be no question it was Him. Sometimes your uplifting is delayed, not because God has forgotten, but because He is waiting for the perfect moment to magnify what the world missed. God's timing is intentional. You see, if He had rewarded you too early, they would have said it was luck. If He had blessed you too soon, they might have believed it was someone's favor. But when you waited, when you endured in silence, when you served, even when no one noticed, that's when heaven's record became sacred. And now, when God moves to uplift you, there will be no question. It was kindness that qualified you. It was patience that prepared you. And it was heaven that remembered what man forgot. So, if you've ever felt invisible while doing good, know this: you were never unseen. Every whisper of compassion, every act of selflessness, and every choice to love instead of hate became a sacred entry in heaven's record. And today, those divine pages are opening in your favor. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared for a moment like this, where God's uplifting will begin, not because you demanded it, but because your kindness called for it. Kindness is the currency of the kingdom. We live in a world that trades in power, performance, and possessions. People are elevated for how loud they are, how polished they appear, or how many followers they attract. But in the kingdom of God, the economy is different. Power doesn't purchase promotion. Kindness does. The true currency of heaven is not what you gain, but what you give. Kindness is not weakness. It is one of the most dangerous weapons of the Spirit. Why? Because kindness is an act of resistance against evil. It's a declaration that love still reigns in a world governed by selfishness. When you are kind to someone who cannot repay you, or someone who doesn't deserve it, you are participating in a divine rebellion. You are reflecting the very nature of God Himself. The Lord Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Matthew 5:7. This is not a suggestion, it's a spiritual law. What you pour out in kindness will return to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But the timing of that return is not random. It comes when your heart is ready, not to idolize the gift, but to glorify the giver. The world may not value your kindness, but heaven has been investing it like gold. Every time you forgave instead of retaliated, you made a deposit. Every time you encouraged someone in pain while silently battling your own, you stored up riches not of this world. Every moment you gave without broadcasting it, God saw it as currency of the highest value. And in the economy of the kingdom, that kind of currency does not devalue, it compounds. This is why God is uplifting you now, because your kindness has matured into favor. You didn't chase applause. You didn't trade kindness for gain. You sowed it, watered it with faith, and trusted God with the increase. And now the return is due. Not because of human systems, but because divine justice is at work. There are people today who hold positions through manipulation, who rise through flattery, who gather crowds but lack peace. They possess influence, but not approval from heaven. But your influence was formed in secret, your character was forged in silence, and your crown is being shaped not by hands of man, but by the hands of God. The reason your kindness will pay off today is because it always had value, not just to others but to God. And when He begins to uplift you, your kindness becomes your signature, your mark. You will be known not just by what you say, but by the gentleness you carry. People will feel safe around you because heaven's presence moves through you. That is power. That is divine elevation. So remember this truth. In God's kingdom, kindness is never wasted. It is wealth. It is your resume. It is your offering. And it is your key to doors that no man can shut. Your elevation will be silent but unshakable. When God begins to elevate you, He does so in a manner that confounds the world. There are no spotlights, no grand announcements, no loud parades to herald your breakthrough. Instead, God works in the quiet places. The shifts begin in silence, subtle yet undeniable. You will notice it before others do. A peace settles in your heart. A strength returns to your voice. A clarity that once seemed out of reach suddenly feels familiar. These are not accidents. They are signals that heaven has moved on your behalf. The world loves noise because it confuses depth with volume. But God does not need a crowd to lift you. He does not need approval ratings or viral moments. His favor is not measured by public opinion. It is rooted in truth. When God chooses to elevate someone, He does so with permanence. His uplifting is not conditional. It is not a reaction to popularity. It is a response to character. And because your kindness was genuine and consistent, even when unrecognized, it has built a foundation too strong for storms to shake. The elevation God gives will not come with the instability of man's praise. Man may applaud you today and reject you tomorrow, but when God raises you up, He also roots you. He builds you brick by brick in unseen places, so that when the winds come, and they will, you remain unmovable. This is why your rise feels quiet. God is protecting it. He knows what too much visibility too early can do. So He hides you, He strengthens you, and then, at the moment no one expects, He places you exactly where He wants you to be. You won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to convince others of your worth. Those who dismiss you will watch your life shift in ways they cannot deny. They'll wonder how it happened, why it happened, and to whom you owe your new position. But you will know. You will remember the nights you cried and still chose to love. You will recall the moments you were betrayed and still chose to serve. You will know this elevation came not from effort alone, but from the unseen eyes of a faithful God. Your uplifting is silent because it was never meant to be about show. It is meant to be sustainable. And sustainability is built in quiet obedience, not in public applause. Look at nature, how the tallest trees grow in stillness, how mountains rise without a sound. So too will your rise reflect the nature of the one who uplifts you. There will be no chaos in your ascension, no panic, no striving, just grace. And here, quiet, unshakable grace. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this: no one will be able to reverse what God has done. What He establishes, no man can uproot. What He opens, no one can shut. Your new place will not be borrowed, it will be given. And because it was given by God, it will last. So trust the quiet, lean into the stillness. Something strong is being built, and when it emerges, it will not break. Because it was never fragile to begin with, it was divinely forged, eternally planned and lovingly lifted. Divine uplifting comes when the soul is ready. One of the most misunderstood realities of spiritual growth is timing. We often believe that our breakthroughs are delayed because God is withholding them, but the truth is far more loving. Sometimes, God is simply waiting for the soul to be ready to carry the weight of the blessing. His silence is not rejection, it is refinement. And in the case of divine uplifting, This could not be more true. There are seasons when it seems like everyone else is rising, while you remain grounded. You've done all the right things. You've been kind, you've been faithful, and still the promotion hasn't come, the recognition hasn't arrived, the breakthrough feels distant. But while it appears that nothing is changing on the outside, something sacred is being shaped on the inside. God is preparing you. He is enlarging your inner strength, stretching your capacity, deepening your roots so that when the uplift comes, it won't crush you. You see, if the elevation comes before the soul is prepared, it becomes a burden, not a blessing. But when your soul is aligned with God's purpose, when your character can hold the weight of His favor, He begins to move in ways you didn't expect. You'll wake up one day and realize you're no longer striving for the same things. The praise of man no longer intoxicates you. The bitterness of being overlooked no longer stings. Why? Because your soul has healed, and healed souls receive holy promotions. God's elevation does not follow human metrics. He does not promote based on popularity or potential. He promotes based on readiness. And readiness is not proven in comfort, it's forged in fire. Think of the great figures of faith. David tended sheep long before he held a crown. Joseph endured prison long before he entered the palace. They were kind, faithful, and righteous, but their uplifting came only when their souls had been sufficiently shaped. So if you've walked through seasons of delay, of disappointment, of divine silence, don't resent them. Reverence them, because it means God was preparing something lasting in you, something unshakable. He was making sure your identity was not rooted in status or success, but in Him. That way, when He lifts you up, your soul remains grounded. You won't rise with pride, you'll rise with purpose. And here's what many don't understand. The most important part of divine uplifting is not where God takes you, but who you become when you get there. What good is elevation if your soul is fractured? What value is recognition if your heart is hollow? God is more interested in the version of you that can handle His favor with humility and use it for good. That's why He took His time, not because you weren't worthy, but because He was perfecting what you would carry. So trust this truth. Your elevation is not late, it's precise. It's arriving at the moment your soul has been healed enough to receive it. And when it comes, it will not just lift you up, it will keep you there. Because it was timed by the one who knows your heart more deeply than you know your own. And when He says now, it will be not just your moment, it will be your confirmation that the waiting was never punishment. It was preparation for something far more beautiful than you imagined. In a world that thrives on recognition, it's easy to believe that applause defines worth. Likes, followers, praise, and public admiration have become the measuring stick for success. But God operates on an entirely different scale. His favor doesn't require human validation. His blessing is not tethered to crowd approval. And the truth is, the favor of God outweighs all the applause of men combined. There's a sacred peace that comes when you realize you don't need to be seen by everyone. You only need to be seen by God. You don't have to chase validation, manipulate your image, or please everyone to be considered worthy. When God favors you, He causes things to move that you could never orchestrate with your own strength. He touches hearts, opens doors, and aligns opportunities in ways applause never could. Applause may feed your ego, but God's favor nourishes your soul. You may have been overlooked by people you once served. You may have poured your heart out in places where no one clapped, where no one even noticed. You offered help to the hurting, grace to the ungrateful, and love to those who returned nothing. And yet, instead of praise, you were met with silence, or worse, rejection. But let me remind you, it was never about their recognition. It was about God's observation, and he never missed a moment. God's favor is not transactional. You don't earn it by impressing others or pretending to be perfect. You align with it by being faithful, kind, sincere, and surrendered. Favor flows to the humble, not the boastful. It clings to those who walk quietly with integrity, not to those who make noise for attention. And when his favor rests on you, no one can deny it. Even those who once dismissed you will marvel. That's why your kindness matters so deeply, because you continued doing good when no one was watching. And that kind of integrity is magnetic to the heart of God. You were planting seeds of favor every time you chose peace over revenge, compassion over coldness, patience over pride, and now those seeds are beginning to sprout. People may wonder how things are suddenly shifting in your life. They may not understand how someone so quiet, so overlooked, is now stepping into blessings they never saw coming. But that's the mystery of God's favor. It doesn't need permission. It moves sovereignly, surprisingly, and with power. And when it arrives, it speaks louder than any applause ever could. Don't trade divine favor for fleeting applause. Applause fades, crowds change, trends move on. But the hand of God, once extended in favor, builds what man cannot destroy. He sets you apart, not for show, but for purpose, not to impress, but to impact. You didn't walk this path for praise. You walked it out of obedience. And God, who sees all things, is now responding, not with noise, but with elevation. Your reward isn't a standing ovation. It's peace, protection, provision, and promotion that no crowd could give. So when you feel the shift, when the doors begin to open and the weight lifts, know this: it wasn't applause that did it. It was God's favor resting quietly, yet powerfully, on your life. Those who hurt you will watch you rise. One of the hardest burdens to carry is the weight of betrayal or mistreatment, especially when it comes from those you once helped, loved, or forgave. You extended kindness to people who turned away and spoke against you. You stood by others in their darkest hour, only to be left alone in yours. It wasn't just pain, it was confusion. You asked yourself, why would they treat me this way when all I did was care, and still you chose to remain kind? But God saw it all. He saw the tears you never shared, the restraint you showed when you could have retaliated, and the way you continued to serve with dignity even when your name was being dishonored. And now, something divine is happening. God is preparing a table for you, not in secret, but in the presence of those who wounded you, not out of vengeance, but out of divine justice. The scripture declares, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." Psalm 23:5. This is not about humiliation, it's about revelation. God doesn't elevate you to prove a point. He does it to reveal his hand. Those who use you will not just hear about your elevation, they will witness it. They will see the peace you carry. They will watch doors open that they tried to shut. They will realize that what they meant for harm, God used to refine you, as the God realized that the all-rich heaven, and here's the deeper beauty. You won't even need to say a word. Your success will speak. Your composure will speak. Your joy will speak. The same mouths that gossiped about you will be silenced by the fruit of your kindness. Not because you sought revenge, but because you trusted God to be your defender. You didn't stoop to their level. You chose a higher path. And now the same ones who tried to pull you down will have no choice but to look up. This is not about pride. It's about vindication. God never wastes pain. The wounds they gave you became the soil for your growth. The betrayal became the birthplace of your wisdom. The rejection became the space where God whispered, "You're still mine." And now, He's lifting you, not just for your sake, but as a testimony to the fact that kindness cannot be buried, truth cannot be erased, and goodness always finds its way back to the surface. Some of them will watch in silence, others may try to re-enter your life, but you will know it was never about being bitter. It was about being better, and better is what you became. You chose healing over hatred, faith over fury, love over loss. And now God is exalting you in such a way that those who doubted you will see that it was never weakness, it was wisdom. You did not lose anything by being kind. In fact, you gained everything. The ability to walk without malice, the strength to love again, and most importantly, the peace that comes from knowing you honored God even in your lowest moments. That is the reward. And the added blessing, those who thought they broke you will now see you thriving, whole and untouchable, not because you proved them wrong, but because God proved you right. There's a holy rhythm to how God moves. We often think He shows up in a flash, in one powerful, climactic moment that changes everything. But more often, His work is woven into the quiet, consistent acts of our obedience. What you're receiving today is not random. It is not luck. It is the sacred result of every kind choice you made when you had every reason not to. It is the return on an investment you sowed in tears, in silence, and in solitude. Today's reward didn't come from a single dramatic act. It was built across days, months, maybe even years, through unnoticed goodness, unseen sacrifices, and uncelebrated love. Every time you encouraged someone when your own heart was breaking, God took note. Every time you helped someone get back on their feet while no one offered you a hand, heaven smiled. Every time you chose mercy over revenge, love over resentment, or peace over pride, you were adding another stone to the foundation God was building for you. God does not forget such things. When you offered kindness without expecting anything in return, you were aligning yourself with His character. You were participating in the divine, and now you are stepping into a season of return, not because you demanded it, but because you faithfully waited. It wasn't your strength that brought you here. It was your surrender. You didn't claw your way to this place. You were carried here by grace, by favor, by a Father who saw what others overlooked. The world may look at your life today and say, "Where did this come from?" But you know the nights of doubt, the prayers whispered into darkness, the moments you almost gave up but chose to believe instead. This reward is not new, it's simply been maturing. God was never ignoring you. He was storing blessings, timing them, perfecting them, for the day your soul would be ready to hold them. And now, that day has come. What is shifting in your life isn't just a result of external change. It's a reflection of inner transformation. God has seen your endurance, your consistency, your decision to remain good in a world that gave you every reason to grow cold. And now, He is honoring it, not just with material reward, though that may come, but with peace that passes understanding, with new strength, with divine connections, with open doors that no man can shut. You are not just being lifted, you are being established. Because you built your life on something deeper than applause. You built it on kindness, and kindness always returns. Not always from the direction you gave it, but always in the form heaven intended. As you listen to these words, let them sink deeply into your spirit. God is uplifting you. Not because you begged for it, not because you manipulated your way into it, but because you lived faithfully, loved purely, and gave generously even when no one noticed. That kind of living may seem small in the moment, but in the kingdom of heaven, it echoes louder than the grandest achievements the world could offer. Your kindness was never wasted. It was a seed, and now it has become a tree of strength, of favor, of reward. Others may have doubted you, dismissed you, or taken you for granted, but God never did. He watched it all. And now, the one who sits high is reaching low to raise you up. Quietly, gently, irrevocably. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to prove anything. Just keep walking in the same spirit that brought you this far, with humility, with compassion, and with faith. The God who saw your tears is now sending your harvest. The one who saw your restraint is now preparing your platform. And the God who recorded every hidden act of love is now rewarding you in ways that cannot be measured. This is the love who is now rewarding you in ways that cannot be measured. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. Now the wait is over. The silence is lifting. The season has shifted. And your elevation, built entirely upon yesterday's kindness, is beginning today. Let no one tell you that being good is in vain. You are living proof that kindness is powerful, and today, God is showing the world just how much it pays off. This is your time. Rise, quietly, boldly, faithfully. God is lifting you. Let the world see what kindness can become when heaven gets involved.